Hey everybody, it is Brenna, and today I'm bringing you a work in progress tag. I am behind schedule. I have pretty much resigned myself to the fact that I'm not going to be done editing my book in time to put it out when I wanted it to. So instead of doing a cover reveal for my book, instead I'm going to do the work in progress tag, which will talk about it and give you some background on the book I'm writing and the series as a whole. Let's get right into the questions. I did write them all down in my notebook, but I've not really thought too hard about them. Some of them I did, and I didn't come up with good answers, and some of them I'm just gonna wing it. So, what is the working title of your book? I'm not gonna do the actual title of the book because I am gonna do a cover reveal and title all on the same day. But the working title for it when I was writing it, before I came up with the title, was Beldoran 2, because the series is based around one main character. And the first book that I came out with in November, it featured Beldoran, and this series, the book that I'm working on right now, is picking up where about a month after that book ended, and kind of what's happened in her life and where she is going forward. So, Beldoran 2, which is not very exciting, but titles are not easy for me. Where did the idea come from for your book? The main idea for the book came as a writing prompt from my husband. We were going to be in the car for several hours, and wherever we were coming back from, like, the kids had fallen asleep. So it was just he and I, and we were... Hi. And we were talking about just, stuff as you do. And I had mentioned I wanted to write something, but I didn't know that I wanted to write like an urban fantasy, but I didn't really know how to create a world without letting all the other urban fantasies and paranormals that I had read influence me too much. I didn't want to take things from stuff that other people had come up with. And so he was like, well, I created a world for this game that he was playing. He created this entire world and this entire magic system. He was like, I created all of it. Why don't you write something based in it? And then he told me about it and told me about a couple of the characters that he came up with. Belle, Thor, Rocket, they're all my husband's characters from the world that he created. He made it for a game, and they're all his. And then, like, their base magic abilities and stuff, I gave them, kind of some more personalities. I gave Belle a different backstory than he had given her, and because I was going to be writing from Belle's perspective, so I wanted her to be a character that I really understood. But I took the character that he made, which he did name, and he'd created Thor, he created Rocket, and he created a couple more. And it was more, they were more like the archetypes of the world and kind of the templates of like the magic systems when they're like really overpowered. And he just gave me the world and he gave me the magic system and it's like, this is how it works. And he was just like, just it, and he gave it to me in the sense of like using it as a writing exercise to write in this world. And so when we got home, I sat down and I was thinking, and he had, in the like 3 hours it took us to get home, he had explained the magic system and how things worked and why things were just so and this and the other. And then we got home, and it was a couple days later, or maybe the next day, after I had worked out the character and how I wanted this and the other. And I started writing Into the Shadows. The opening scene for that is the same one. It's the same opening scene. I added a couple characters, and I changed a couple characters, and we brought in different kinds of magic users and stuff. And the world grew and changed and stuff. It's based on his, but like that's where the idea came from. It was my husband's idea. He is very creative when it comes to this kind of thing, and he created the whole thing. It's his world and I'm just playing in it. It's kind of what the way I look at it. And it makes me feel a little bad. And I asked him, if he cared that I'm basically taking his creative idea and running with it. And he basically tells me that it's really not his anymore because of all the things that have changed. And he's like, I'm not going to do anything with it. You might as well. So I've taken it and I've run with it. So number 3 is, what genre does your book fall in? And my book is an urban fantasy. And as the series goes on, I am going to put some romance in it, which is probably going to kill any kind of readership I have. But romance is my favorite genre, and in my head, I always saw the series becoming like an urban fantasy romance. It didn't start that way because I wanted it to have more of a slow burn, but in my head, it was always going to go into the romance category. So, and then number 4, which actors would you choose to play in your movie rendition? For Alex, his is really easy. He facially is very similar to Jason Momoa. He's got the curly hair that's brown with like some blonde streaks. He's got a scruff, but personality wise, he's not Jason Momoa at all. But like body size, he's more like The Rock. I would say he's Jason Momoa's, but I figure Jason Momoa probably looks pretty small when you put him next to The Rock or Dwayne Johnson. I'm showing my age by calling him The Rock. Dwayne Johnson. Because Alex is just a huge muscular guy, so I feel he would have more of the physique of Dwayne Johnson and then the face of Jason Momoa-ish. That's as close as I can get. And then the female character, I cannot remember the actress's name. Not for the life of me. I can't remember her name. I'll put a picture of her on the screen, or I'll put it on the bottom what her name is. But she is pretty much exactly what I pictured Belle to look like. But the other characters, I don't have anything. Number 5 is, what is a 1-sentence synopsis of your book? Why? Why tag? Why? I'm working on writing the back blurb, and it's not going well. Okay, so it's not going to be 1 sentence because I've tried a couple times and I can't think of one. Basically, the book is about Belle and her trying to settle into her life in Boston, but just when, you think that she thinks that everything's going well, she gets contacted by someone from her past, and it sets off a chain of events that will affect her for years to come, I guess. 1 sentences are hard, and even multiple sentences are hard. I don't know how to describe my book without revealing some things that you don't find out the answers to until like 70% of the way in the book. But I feel like if I don't give some kind of information, then the synopsis isn't going to sound interesting. It's a dilemma for me. Okay, so number 6. Will your book be self-published or represented by an agency? It is going to be self-published. I self-published the first one in November. It's available on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited if you would like to read it. It's called Into the Shadows. There's a copy of it. The next one, it will probably come out in March. Fingers crossed. Number 7, how long did it take you to write the first draft of your manuscript? The first draft took me probably about 5 weeks. Number 8, what other books would you compare your story to? It's urban fantasy, and while I really enjoy the genre, I can't find as much as I would like to read because I like romance to be in my urban fantasy as well. And there's not a lot. A lot of the urban fantasy is just urban fantasy. There's not much of a romance plot. So as much as I hate to say it, Alona Andrews' Hidden Legacy series, I won't say that I'm anywhere near as good of a writer as they are. Alona Andrews is a husband and wife that write together. I'm not anywhere near their caliber and their world building and all that kind of stuff. I feel like they just blow me out of the water. But if I have to compare myself or my story and the type of story it is, I would say that particular series. And my husband compared it to the Dresden Files, but I've never read that series, so I have no idea. Number 9, who or what inspired you to write your book? My husband. Like I said earlier, we were just talking and he gave me the world and a magic system to use. And he encouraged me to use it and change it however I wanted to because, he's like, it's your story, just do whatever. And he's been a huge encouragement and he's a big inspiration and he's a huge help. He is my alpha/beta reader. Also my grandmother. She's been asking me to write something for forever. I started something over 10 years ago. Or no. I started a book about 15 years ago, and I let her read the first couple chapters of it, and she still asks me to this day if I'm ever going to finish it. And I don't even think I could if I wanted to, because I wrote it on an old laptop that won't even turn on anymore, and I don't have what I had written saved anywhere else. So I don't think I'd be able to. I don't remember enough about the story to write anymore. Number 10, what else about your book might pique interests? Or might pique readers' interest? There's magic. The world is ever expanding. The first book, you get to meet Belle and you find out about the magic system and how the world she lives in works. And then by the second book, you're kind of familiar with the world and the magic system. And then I kind of throw a wrench into everything and I explore a new type of magic user. Belle and everybody that I was talking about, like, they're mages. And in this book, I bring in witches and artifacts that witches make and like charms and that kind of thing. They're mentioned in Into the Shadows, but they're not a huge part of it. You just learn about them as them being another group of magic users that live in the world. And in each book, I'm trying to expand on the world and the magic system in it. There's a lot more fights in this book. There are a lot more action scenes, much more magic is being thrown around, and a few new skills with the mages that you've not seen yet. So lots of magic, lots of fights, and just a little hint of romance. If you care for romance at all, there is a very tiny bit in here. So that's all I have for my work in progress tag. Thank you all so much for watching. If you would like to follow me on any other platform, I always link everything down below, as well as the link to my debut novel, Into the Shadows. So until next time, bye.